Alright, I think it's time to make some music and use the session view and its scenes. But before I go any further, I am going to do some color coding because my project is a little messy and I like clean projects. So I'll give these some colors and then move on. Alright, so I did do some color coding because I like to keep my projects kind of clean, and it helps when you just look at it and you know what is what. So to me, drums are usually white, and any percussive thing can be kind of close to white, so it's gray. By the way, if you want to color a track and its clips, like I have a drum track here that's not white yet, I'll just give it a white color, and then assign track color to clips. Alright, so now I have my drums close to each other, and then I'll get my synths as blue. Vocals are usually green for me, bass is always red, and some other stuff I just kind of freestyle, but the main elements like drums and bass and synths, I always use the same colors because it helps me. Even when I get back to the project later on and I look at it, it's kind of easy for me. Even if I just let the song play and I'm like, okay, I have to locate this one sound, where is it? And I hear it, I know it's a synth, so I'll be looking at blue tracks. One thing that's worth doing with tracks of similar nature is grouping. For example, I could group all my drum tracks. I select one track and shift click on the last one. From the menu, group tracks, or Command G. So now all my selected drum tracks will go through the same boss track. If I want to add some processing to all my drum tracks, I'll just add, for example, a compressor on the boss track. So now every drum track ends up on the drum bus and gets the same processing. It's also handy for making a little space because I often end up with songs that have like 30 tracks. So you can kind of hide things with the group track. And if you want to, you can always ungroup things like this. I also saved the song with a new name just because if I ever wanted to get back to the old song, I can. So do that. And also, I did delete some of the tracks. It was getting a little messy, and even here it may be a little too much, but I just want to see what I can do. So I will try to construct some basic intro and then make the song go forward and explain using the clips and scenes a little bit. By the way, one little quick tip at this point. You see that now when I play the song, I have these clips on different tracks playing on different rows, aka scenes. If I wanted to capture this moment into one scene, so that all these clips that are currently playing would become one scene, it's very easy to do. Just select a scene slot and capture an insert scene. So you'll see now when I click this, I got a new scene that sounds exactly what I just had. It just created a new scene out of all those. So I do this kind of often. I often work on one loop pretty long so that I have quite a few elements in it that will hopefully make a whole song. And then I save this one scene so I can just always come back to it and listen to it. Like, let's say I'll try to play this and that, and then I'm like, how did my idea sound? So here I have this one scene that I can just listen to, like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, this is my idea. But yeah, so let me try and make something out of this. Also, let me at this point save the song to my user library and explain its backup feature. So I will save it to my user library that I have bookmarked, and Fanu's project is what I have. So I'll save it there, and let's see, it'll show up. User library, Fanu's project, and yeah, there it is. So let's look at it. There's now one copy of this song. So let me just do some little change and just save the song again. Now in the backup folder, I'm seeing new song. This is my song. So let me just do another change and just save it again. You see, another copy of new song is created. Let me do it once more. So now I have my original new song here, and this is the one that's getting saved. But as long as you don't change the song title, its previous version gets saved under backups. So what does this mean? Well, your previous version can be loaded here. Let's say if I felt like, okay, let me go back to the version where these clips were not moved. I would just load this version, and so you see I'm now back to the earlier version. So backup feature is super nice. So you will have quite a few copies of your earlier versions as long as the song title is the same. Okay, I'll just go back and load this one here. Okay, time to get busy with some music stuff. Let me close the browser. And I think I had one extra synth track. Okay, let me delete the frozen track. I won't need that. So, and I got way too many drum tracks. Or maybe I can just do a little variation. So what I want to do first is just to let me stop everything. This stop button here on the master track will stop everything. So I'll hit it and nothing will play. So I will start by thinking, how should the intro of my song go? I got pretty much everything I need in this one scene here. This is the scene that pretty much contains all the stuff that I want to do or maybe need to do in my song. So I'll just lose everything here, and I'll start crafting my intro with some of the elements that I have here. This drum kit, okay, this could do. Let me just Alt drag, and that'll create a copy, or I could just Command C, Command V. That would work, and then maybe I'll start with the synth sound. So this could be the intro of my song. So I always use scenes for creating sections of songs. I was thinking of the other one. I think this is the one. Also, let me just keep this here just in case. That could work as an intro. What do I want to have for the next scene? Maybe a bass line. But let me take a look at the clip length, because one thing that I get asked often is, how long should my clips be? I will be talking about it also when I record finally the song on the arrangement, but let me just really quickly take a look at clip lengths. So this synth clip is, you see that it's 8 bars long. You see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 8 bars long. A clip can be as long as you want. There is no rule as to how long a clip should be. And a scene per se doesn't really have a length, because you are the one who actually tells the sequencer or the software when to move to the next scene. And we also did take a look at follow actions, which you can use to program the clip so that it actually moves to the next clip in the group when it's done playing. My drum clip is, yeah, it's only 2 bars. So as you see, clips can be of different lengths, so they do not go hand in hand. It's totally up to you what you want to do. Let me extend the loop to 2 bars. Okay, that didn't work. Let me just crop this. Cropping takes out anything that's outside of the loop. So I'll just duplicate this loop here. Duplicate this. Maybe the first, sometimes I do like this, like the hi-hat doesn't come in before the snare, so let me disable the ghost kick. And for the next bar here, I want to send this to the reverb that's on my reverb return track to create like a splash of reverb on the 5th bar, like So one way to do it is I'll just duplicate the loop. So now my drum clip doubled in length, and because I want to do like with this one here, like swoosh. I clicked on this one and I go to the envelope, automation envelope view, so I know that this place here is where I want the reverb splash to happen. So let's listen. This will actually only apply to the kick because here is only the kick, but that'll work. Let me actually just extend the hi-hat there because the kick doesn't really contain very many high frequencies, so it doesn't sound very exciting. So let me listen to this. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, that's what I want. Okay, so my first scene. Alright, so one thing I have to think about when I move to the next scene. Take a look what happens when I trigger scene 2. I won't actually play the whole scene entirely, but I'll just move on real quick. So see, I'll go now. Okay, of course I moved immediately because global quantization was set to none. So even if I had one bar, let me do it once more. So the clips that were playing in my first scene stopped because by default there's a stop button in the next slot. So this synth stops because when I play scene 2, it'll trigger this clip slot which has a stop button. But you can remove it if you want to. And I do want this clip to play in scene 2 as well. And the same goes for this drum kit clip. So remove stop button. So now when I play first scene and when I move to scene 2, they still just keep on playing. I think the synth kind of overlaps, so let me just, if you ever want to keep a clip but mute it, just hit 0 and it'll disable it. So scene 2 now adds a bass line. What else? I could try and add maybe this funk drumming. It could be a little quieter in the background. Let me just listen, because now it's really loud. If I want to create a variation of the clip that plays a little quieter, with audio clips it's really as easy as setting the level of the clip. Each clip can have a different setting for this. So if I wanted to take this clip down, I would take this level of the clip down. However, let me show you a way how it's done with MIDI clips, because MIDI clips do not have this control. You could, for example, automate this level here, or I usually like to keep these for kind of mixing, like I can always set the level. And for automating the level, I usually use the utility plugin of Ableton Live and automate the gain. So if I want to automate the gain for this clip, okay, now I'm seeing it, so, and I could just pull this down, maybe by 5 dB, to make it just like a filler drum loop. That works. And maybe let me duplicate this drum kit clip here. Always give these some relevant names so you know that they're different, because I'm thinking that for the first clip I could actually disable hi-hat because it adds a nice amount of energy. So the first clip, for the first scene, I could just disable all the hi-hats. I'll just click on this row which selects all the hi-hats and hit 0. So now my hi-hats are muted. So let's see, my first scene probably works nicely like this. Yeah. I'll click this soon. Alright, here we go. Okay, so I basically have two 8-bar sections, and of course I can let these scenes play as long as I want to. In electronic music, a lot of changes usually happens in after 16 bars, or songs usually work in 16-bar sections. I will show that and visualize that once we get to the arrangement. So I just want to create something for my third scene, and could the guitar work? Maybe go for the other synth. Yeah, I like the lush sound that it creates. Yeah, okay. So third scene, I'm just going to disable this synth that played first. So I only need to keep the stop button because this is scene 3. So this synth will now stop. What else? I will keep my drum loop, so I will remove stop button for that, and the funk loop and the bass. So let me just quickly go, and I won't play the whole scene, just this is the first one. I always use the space bar to do this real quick. And scene 2, bass comes in, and scene 3, I'm only getting the new synth, and the old synth from scene 1 and 2 will stop. Let me also do a long fade in for the guitar clip. So I will add it to the scene 3, and I'll just make it fade in really slow. By the way, it is useful sometimes to give colors to scenes, so it could, for example, tell you what it happens. Sometimes, like if I have a baseline scene, I could just, there's not that much info you can write here, but red color tells me that, okay, this scene adds a baseline, and my guitar was that color and roughly, and I could call it guitar. By the way, if you want to have more information per track, it's very doable. Shift and question mark gives you this info window on bottom left, and if you click on this whatever track and hit edit info text, I'll do it for the guitar track, I'll click that and I'll get to write whatever, and I could write my notes about the guitar track. So, notes for yourself, and you will see when you're in this mode that gives you this info window. So, once I put my cursor on the track, I will see that. So, where was I? Yeah, I wanted to do the fade in for the guitar. So, how would I do that? The guitar clip is 4 bars long. Let me go to the automation view. Let me click on link, and I'll give it a longer length than the actual clip because the clip was 4 bars, and I want the fade in to happen over the course of, I could even go for like maybe 16 bars, long enough. And I would use, once again, I could use, my favorite way to do this is to use the utility plugin and just do the fade in with the gain. So let me go and see the guitar clip, and now I'm looking at the, okay, I gotta do it again. So yeah, so now gain, this is the visual representation for the gain. Now it begins at 0, but I want to fade it in to 0 from something pretty quiet, so I barely hear it when scene 3 starts. it's a nice way to bring in an element slowly. So for the fourth scene, I would just, this clip now has the fade-in automation, and this one doesn't. This was my original guitar clip, so I could just copy this here. I'll call this fade-in guitar, and this can be just guitar. This doesn't fade in, it just loops. So my scene 4, what else do I want to do to my scene 4? I think I had this, what did I do with this vocal? Oh yeah, I was using the vocal at some point for this gate function. It sounds a little silly, but whatever. Yeah, okay, that'll work. When I get to scene 4, I can do that. What else do I want to scene 4? Maybe just use some other synth. I have this wavetable synth here. Let me try and play that. That'll work. If I want to immediately capture that, remember that you have this capture button right here. So when I slam this, I will get roughly what I played. Well, I do get what I played, but it's not on the grid. Let me just quantize it. 8 note, 100%. I don't want that to loop all the time, so maybe make it like a 4-bar clip, and the next 2 bars it will be quiet. Okay, so this will be for scene 4, and let me also see for scene 4, drums will keep on playing. This layer funk drums could stop, and I'll just maybe do, this was my finger snapping, I think. This could also work on scene 4. What else? Bass will continue to play. Guitar is without a fade in. Let me try this. Oh, my synth stopped. Okay, so this, I won't need a stop clip here. Let me run through this real quick. Okay, that's 1, 3, and 4. This sounds kind of silly. It definitely needs a whole lot of reverb. I only wanted to repeat every 8. Let me just add some length. 8 bars. So the melody only comes in every 8 bars. And I said I could have, oh, this, what was, let me, yeah, this was my hand clapping. Also bring the amen here. Okay, what I'll do is on scene 4, amen becomes the main drum loop, and the drum kit that I was using so far will just stop. So this will stop it. Scene 4 would be like, what else? Rain sample was on the background, pretty quiet probably. I can always hit this scene and listen to my original idea. Yeah, I think it needs some beefier kicks, so maybe, where did I have it? Was this the one? Let me solo this. Yeah, this sounds good because it has some meat, like really meaty kicks, so this drum loop could also work on scene 4. By the way, remember that if you add, you can check out this one. This is like a crossfader. You can assign these tracks to either side of the crossfader. Like if you're familiar with DJ Mixer, it's the same thing. Like one track plays on the other side. So if I had these two drum loops and one is signed to left and one is signed to the right, I could mess with this, and let's listen. I think you probably get the point of working with these. Let me delete everything here and let me just record my song here. Everything can go. And when you want to record a song to arrangement so that you can edit it further and bounce it out, this is the icon for that. So this symbol will activate recording of your song to the arrangement. So without further ado, let me do just that. The recording will start from this playhead. So make sure if you want to start from the beginning, just click here. Let me close all the track or fold everything. I'll hold Alt and click on an arrow so everything just gets squeezed nicely. So let me just see if I can get this recorded in one go. Okay, that was something. It's definitely not the greatest song in the world, but it's something. Hopefully it's useful. Now, when I want to play my song from the arrangement, there's one thing I have to do. You see this orange-ish symbol here. Let me activate my help view, shift question mark, and we'll see that it's called back to arrangement. This, whenever you see this symbol here, it's also on session view. It's the very same thing, but it's on different places. So this guy here and this one here, it means that it tells you that, hey, now your playback somehow differs from what has been saved on the arrangement. And if you want to bring your focus fully back to arrangement, you just click on this button. And as you can see, the color will change. These are kind of grayed out right now compared to these that are very vivid in color. So when I click this, focus is now here, and when I start playback, it will play my song entirely from arrangement and not session view anymore. Nothing is playing here. By the way, do not miss this module here. You can see your song content here, and you'll also see the playhead as your song plays. This reflects your arrangement content. You can also hide it if you want to. If you still remember Mrs. Boyle, hotkeys, O is for overview. And you can also see it in session. So if I play my song from session, you will still see how the song progresses in the overview. And this sort of relates to you being able to play tracks from both sides at the same time, and I will explain that later in this video. If I play it now, it will play exactly as I recorded it. And yeah, I did some little things as I recorded it, and I can see the automations that I did. If I enter automation mode, which is this symbol here, or A on your keyboard, you just have to disable the keyboard mode. So A will show you automation. So I will open up all the tracks here, and I can see some of the automations that I did. For example, this drum kit here, I was doing speaker on automation. So basically I muted the track here. As you can hear, it mutes. So I always do a little bit of trickery when I record the song, and here it's very nice to edit these things. Maybe I could just be like, mute that, and yeah, so kind of cuts out the snare, so let me just fix that. But here you can just edit your song to your heart's content, and now we finally have a linear timeline. As you can see, your song is now this long. Whereas in session, you don't really have any linear backbone, because it's you who determines how things play, in what order, and how long. Remember, I didn't do it when I was playing my song, but you can sort of program your entire song from start to finish if you want by using these follow actions. I didn't have any on my song, but if you wanted to have these clips play automatically as a group from start to finish, remember that follow action is the one. Also, I might want to save a new version of the song and give it a name if I want to, like new song arrangement. So if you want to, remember you still got backups. Version 10.1 actually brings these handy features. If I click on H, the tracks will be nicely fitted to the screen so that they all fit in there. You can always leave this state, and I'll go back to this. A handy way to stretch a track vertically is what I do a lot is I hold Alt and I use a trackpad, so I do a 2-finger scroll. But if you have a mouse, it's the same thing. You hold Alt and you use the scroll wheel to make it big. A handy feature to zoom in on a particular range is you select the range and hit Z. So boom, it just gets you to this range that you just selected. When I get out of this real quick, hit these guys here. H and W just take care of this. And you can always return to this. So this is handy. You can zoom in on your song when you bring your cursor to here where you see the bar numbers and you see this magnifying glass. So when you hold your cursor there, click, hold, drag up and down, and it's very seamless. Also from the keyboard, plus and minus will do this in steps. And on Mac, it's Command and 2-finger drag or the scroll wheel. If you want to play clips from the arrangement and session, that is completely doable. Let me show you how. As I said, now my focus is fully on arrangement. Whenever I play my song, it'll always just roll from the arrangement. But if I wanted to play something from the session, I could. For example, what do I want to do? Let me create a clip of Amen that, let's just make it launch some crazy effect. Let me just get the amp real quick. Audio effects amp, so just distort it and make it just crazy. Okay, that will do. Okay, it sounds pretty harsh, but let me just do really quickly a clip that, let me call it Amen amp. So only this clip will trigger the effect. So the effect is now off, and I click on the on off button. I go and see the automation envelope. So okay, now I have a clip that plays the Amen amp. Because I clicked on this clip on session, I once again see this symbol here. It means that, hey, your playback is now going to deviate from what you recorded on arrangement somehow. If I want to get back to this fully, I can click on this and the focus will be restored. Or you can do it track-wise. You're getting some hints here, like Amen track, you're seeing this button here. You don't see it on any other tracks. This symbol means that this track is actually now playing its content from session. Let me demonstrate. I'll click on this or this. The effect will be the same for now. I'll play the song here. Let me just disable automation view. So Amen will sound like that, but let me click on this here. Now, as you see, this symbol appeared, signaling that, hey, now this drum loop is not playing from arrangement, it's playing from here. And this is totally doable because it's useful if you want to, even when you're working in the arrangement, if you want to have some different clips here and you just want to trigger them on the fly and experiment and even record the playback of these clips on the arrangement, it's totally doable. For example, let me just really quickly show you how I could record this Amen clip with the amp on this track. I'll just enable recording and I'll play and you'll see what happens. So now that amp clip got recorded. And I hit the back to arrangement button, so playback returned to arrangement. So that's why it stopped playing this special amp clip. About editing clips and clips on the arrangement in general. You see here I had clip 1 from scene 1, and then scene 2 happened and I played clip 2, which is this, so it's here. It's been looped. It means that if I stretch the clip here, I totally can. So now it's overlapping with, or actually it's replacing clip 1. And you see this symbol here, it means it's the clip start marker, or it ends here, like here, and then it starts again. And this has to do with looping. Because if let me undo that, if I was not looping this clip and I tried to drag it, it's just silence, it's nothing, because it sort of extends the clip content to the left and there's nothing. But if I enable looping and I just do this, it adds to the clip. So also everything can be copied, Command C, Command V. You can duplicate a clip, Command D. And if you want to separate a part of the clip for any reason, select the range and hit Command E, and it'll be a new clip if you want to do that. Also, in addition to working with just clips, you can work with time. For example, I can cut time. If I think that, that 16 bars wasn't really that great, I can just select the range and I have cut time, which will do just this. It deletes not just the clips, which you would get by selecting the clips and deleting, you'll get this empty space, but cut time, Shift Command X, cut time. You can also duplicate time. Boom, like this. Also, one essential feature relating to MIDI clips and audio clips is you can silence or mute a part of a clip. So when I select a part, I hit 0 on my keyboard. So it's deactivated. So in a way, it's better than deleting or cutting, because if you want to, you can just come back to it wherever and just bring it back to life with 0. A handy little nifty feature about audio clips is that you can actually reverse a clip of audio when you select it and hit R. So there you see. Reversing is as easy as that. And one good thought about selecting the clip and doing cutting and stuff is when I am in this mode, which is not the automation mode, this is called content mode. You can select the clip anywhere, and for example, if I delete, it will delete. Let me hit automation mode and show you that it's a little different. Now, for example, let me go check out this part here. If I just select it and hit delete, automation gets deleted, like you saw. I select that, delete, only automation gets deleted. Let me undo it. If I want to delete the whole thing, including the clip, I have to extend my selection to the top bar. Now, when I delete it, the clip and automation will get deleted. So there's a difference. A on your keyboard will switch between these, or this symbol here, automation view. Also, there's one thing relating to locking the automation. What do I mean by this? Well, let me select this range and let me duplicate Command D. Automation gets duplicated. It's very logical. You select this range and duplicate it, and everything gets duplicated. But if you want to lock automation, this symbol here. Now, when automation lock is on, let me select the whole clip and extend the selection to the top bar. When I duplicate it, you see only the clip content gets duplicated and not the automation. Let me demonstrate it again. I'll disable automation lock and I'll go to content mode. If I duplicate the whole clip and I go to automation mode and check it out, the automation did get copied. Let me undo this. If I enable automation lock and I know that here's automation right here, and if I now duplicate this range, automation does not get copied. If you want to join some clips, you can. Let's go and see. Here I had this little silly vocal chops. Let me copy this somewhere else. Let me put it right here. If I want to create a clip out of these 3 separate clips, it's very easy. You just select the range once again and hit Command J. So now you see it's all one clip. Why would I do this? Well, one reason is it's sort of easier to drag this one clip around instead of always having to select all these 3. And another thing is there's no way that I could bring these back to session in any convenient fashion, because when I select these clips and I drag them here, it will not play the rhythm that I intended here. It will not happen. But if I consolidate a new clip, Command J, now here it will play the same rhythm. So joining, consolidating new clips is easy. And let me get back to arrangement by hitting this symbol or this. Let me just get rid of it. Really quickly, let's check out how I could record on arrangement. It's super easy and very similar to how we did it in session view. I will create a new audio track, call it recording. That's enough. And to remind ourselves, we have to go to audio settings, and audio input device has to be set. So H5 is the mic that I'm using. So this now live knows that this will be the one that's bringing audio in. I will click monitor to off because that will mean that it doesn't immediately play it back as the audio is coming in. So I'll hit it off. I will have to activate this. This means that the track is now ready for recording. And if I want to, I can actually select the range. Well, it will record what I'll do. I'll set the loop race here. I'll select the range and Command L. Loop race is now here, but these two symbols are punch in and punch out. It means that when you have the loop race here, it doesn't have to be looped actually. I just wanted to get the brace here quickly. When you are here and you're recording, if punch in and punch out are selected, it means that the recording will only happen here. Even if I was here, like let's say my song is rolling and I hit record here, punch in means that recording starts here, and punch out means that it will stop here. So I don't have to disable recording. So let me just try and do that. Let me play here and just let me sing very beautifully. So record and hit play. Yo, 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 nothing comes in. All right. Here it is. I'm rapping. I'm talking. I'm the worst rapper in the world. It's happening. Yes, dude. Oh my god. It stops. And now it stopped. It recorded exactly with punch in and punch out. You don't have to use them. If they're disabled, it'll just record anywhere, wherever you start. For example, like here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, dude, I'm singing. Yeah, nobody wants to hire me as a singer. You can nicely time stretch audio on a track if it has been warped. I will do that with my vocal here. If you grab the audio clip by the handle on the right and you hold Shift and Alt, you can do this. If I did not hold Shift and Alt, it would just extend the clip range. But when I hit Shift and Alt, it will nicely stretch the audio so it becomes elastic. So this was the original length, and if I want to double the length, it will sound slower. Here it is. Let me change the, like I said earlier, it is worth it messing with the different warping algorithms, and Complex Pro is usually pretty nice. Here it is. I'm rapping. I'm talking. I'm the worst rapper in the world. There are no tricks that could actually save my vocal performance. Let me see, I probably had had the funk clip to demonstrate. Let's solo S, we'll solo. That feature we got with update 10.1. So I will change the warping of that too. So once more, I'll click on the handle here and Shift Alt. It nicely time stretches this. So it rhythmically, it'll make sense with something that has some rhythmical info. If you sort of double or have it. But this is super nice with any audio material like pads and synths and basses, because you can stretch it so, and remember that you don't always want for the audio to sound perfect when you stretch it. So when you go for some warping settings that are not so good, you can create some material that may sound pretty interesting. Like this. So always experiment with these, especially in sound design and things like that. That stretching, warping, shift, all the dragging is very useful. Now, one thing that's very important to understand is that none of the audio editing that you can do inside Ableton Live is actually so-called destructive operation. You literally cannot manipulate the actual audio on the hard drive. So even when I create a reversed clip, this will not reverse the actual file on your hard drive. I can locate this clip just by double clicking and show in Finder, and you will see your newly created clip will be located for you. If you want to do editing to your audio files with a third-party audio editor and then bring the file back to Live, it is very easy. First, in the settings, you will have to set what sample editor you want to use. For example, I'm using this app called Twisted Wave. And to open this file in Twisted Wave immediately, I will right click and manage sample file, and I'll get a list of all the audio files that my current project is using. So now when I hit edit, the sample will open in Twisted Wave because it's been set in my settings. So let me do this. I will hit edit. The file will open, and here it is. And whatever I want to do to it, I'll do. For example, maybe I just want to do some quick EQing. Let's go for that. I'll process it. I'll save it. And when I go back and hit edit, the file will now load in its new process form. So it's very quick to go back and forth if you want to. The 10.1 update will let you touch automation envelopes as well. For a change, let's listen to this synth here. And let me do a filter. I don't have a filter on it, but just to demonstrate, audio filter. And I'll do a really quick filter that's opening. So I'll do this, and so that is like 1 or 2 bars. Click here, click here. So now, as you can see, the filter opens up pretty nicely within 2 bars. But if I select the range here, I will see these very little dots. And when the range is selected, and if I click on that dot, you can nicely stretch the envelope. So I could do this filter opening thing and extend it to the first maybe 8 bars. And here you also see a node. Click on that and you can do this vertically. Also at the bottom you got it. Let me select the range in automation view, right click, and here I see some shapes, which is pretty nice. 10.1 update brings updates to automation envelopes, so you can select from these preset shapes. So if I wanted to really quickly do a fade in or fade out for whatever parameter, I just, for example, if I click on this, you see that it gets the shape that I select. So technically I could have done this auto filter fade in even if it was like this. I could have selected a shape for this range and there you go. Automation you can just draw with pencil tool here or hit B on your computer keyboard. This has to do with the grid resolution. How big or how dense is your grid? So we talked about grid earlier, command 1 and 2, control with PC, and this will change the grid resolution, and drawing tool will obey the grid steps. Command 4 is freehand, nicely, because there's no steps. And let me go undo and I'll go back to having this straight line. If I want to make a curve out of this straight line, it's easy. I'll bring the cursor so close to the line that the line gets a new color, and on Mac I hold Alt and the cursor will change and you see this curved figure. So when I hold Alt and click and drag, you can curve it. And you can do some crazy shapes because you can add a node to the automation, and now I get another automation point and I could curve this. What if I create a new automation node there and I curve this? Maybe I'll create something like this there. It's getting crazy now. You can always delete automation by clicking here once you're in automation mode and clear envelope. You can also see several automation envelopes sort of stacked by hitting the plus symbol here. What it does is, you will see what it does. So it moved this automation envelope, sort of, it got its own lane, and now the first lane that I had could be used for something else. So if I want to do automation editing so that I'll see several different things, I can do that. For example, beat reduction here, I'll click on this and this lane automatically will reflect the parameter that I last clicked. So now if I do have a need to do like very meticulous automation editing in the same view, I will see them at the same time. So if I wanted to bring the bit reduction down as the filter opens, it's very easy to do it like this. Okay. Here's a quick later edit, taking a little deeper look at some of the features. Let me do a curve here, just like I did earlier. And let me just get this guy up. If you're on a Mac and you hold Alt as you click and hold this node. If I don't hold Alt, it works like this, but if you hold Alt, this is what it does. Like it moves the automation range from opposite ends. So that's nice. And also when you're holding Shift or when you go vertically, it's much finer edit. Like without Shift, it's kind of coarse, and with Shift, it's fine tuning. So holding Shift does that. And also one thing with 10.1 is you can simplify envelopes. Like I created this whole mess here. If I select this range and go for simplify envelope, it kind of smooths out some of the stuff here. Like if you create something that has a tons of automation nodes, you can simplify things and it'll smooth the shapes a little bit. I'll just clear these envelopes now to get rid of my crazy automation. I'll close the automation lane by hitting the minus button. So there you go, back to where I was. I'll hit H and I'll get most of my tracks here, and W fits it horizontally. Leave the automation view, boom, nice and tidy. As for fading audio clips, when you are in content mode, which is not the automation mode, and you put your cursor here, you will see this. This will allow you to do fades for audio. And you get visual feedback as well. So it's fading out if you want to. If you want to do MIDI editing for 2 MIDI clips at the same time, it's very easy to do. It can also be done on session view. But here, if I wanted to edit my drum clip, I'll just click on it. And another MIDI clip here would be, I have an empty clip for my wavetable synth. So I hold Command and I click on it, and let me scroll down to see the notes. I'm now seeing the contents of 2 MIDI clips. You can see the contents of more than 2, but here I'm seeing the contents of 2 clips, and this top bar here reflects the clip color. My wavetable clip is blue and drums are white. So once I click on the white bar, I'm now seeing my drum notes, and I can now edit the contents of the drum clip. But when I click here, it's blue. It's now for the wavetable. So if I want to do some synth notes, I could. That'll work. Duplicate that, and if I want to go and edit drums, I know drums and synth at the same time don't necessarily make any sense, but you probably get the point. I'm trying to come up with something sort of rhythmical, and I can see them at the same time, so I know where to place the notes. For drums, I could, that'll do. So it's now playing at the same time with the synth note here as well, or maybe differently. It's in the same mute group with the snare. That's the reason it didn't play. So it could be there. Perfect. I could actually fade the hi-hats in this clip. Earlier let me leave the multi-editing. I earlier muted these hi-hats. Let me bring them back and do velocity level fade for these. I'll stretch the velocity field. I have only selected the hi-hats, so now when I hold Command and click and drag, I'll do this line, which will mess with the velocities. There are no scenes on arrangement view, but you can use this set button to insert markers. Let me click on playhead here and hit set, and where else hit set, and you can, for example, you can rename this if you want to baseline, and this could be whatever, section 2. Sometimes I even use these as my song is playing and I'm thinking, what do I want to change, if anything? So let's say my song is playing here and I'm just... and I get an idea while I'm listening, and I hit set, and it'll create a marker just where the playhead's going, and I just enter an idea, like insert symbol, for example. I may do it immediately, or then I get back to it. And obviously you can drag things into arrangement just like we did with session. We dragged things in here. So if I wanted to drag in a symbol, that is very doable. I think I've got something on my mind. This would be my choice. So here we go. A little off the grid, enable grid and nudge it. A little loud. Add a little or a lot of reverb. These markers are also useful for skipping to another part of the song. Let me show you how. And once again, it has to do with the global quantization. So if I hit it to none, and let's rock it. It's useful if you're doing a live set, for example, but I like to sometimes give names to sections, and just it's a very easy way to just skip to a certain section of your song. And you can also map these to pretty much anything. Remember, computer keyboard mapping mode, Command K. If I wanted to map this to number 2, I can. This could be number 1. So let me leave the keyboard mode and I'll play it, and I'll hit 1 and 2. It is pretty handy for that. A good way to quickly find info on where you have automation is just take a look here or here, and wherever you have these red dots, okay, I do have some send automation on this track, which is 8 freeze. So 8 freeze, there it is. I will click on it and I will see, okay, there's my send automation for this track, whatever this track was, I forgot. Okay, yeah. On my master, I had some automation for the crossfader. Let me make this bigger, and here I had something messing with the drums crossfade. Here something happens. Oh, because I had these 2 drum loops assigned to left and right of the crossfader, so that's what happens. But remember, that will be on your master track. it's slightly sloppy, so if I wanted to fix it, there it is. If you want to change tempo, first take a look at master automation and then go and click on tempo, and you will see tempo right here. If I wanted to start my song a little slow and bring it to the actual BPM of 99, I could. For example, I will click here. I'm now seeing the tempo, and as I click here, I will get a node for the value that it is right now. So 99. But if I wanted to start the song a little slower, I'll create a node here and I drag it down. Does it make any sense? I don't know, but let's try. At least you will see the tempo is now automated. So that's it. A good thing to realize is that if you take a look at song tempo here, you can actually set the minimum and maximum values for the tempo, which will sort of help getting the tempo right, because now I can set this super high and it's kind of crazy. It's 200 BPM. So if you know that your song will be, let's say it's going from 60 to 110. Let's do that. So I'll hit 110. So now when you look at the track, it makes way more sense, because now the minimum value that you set here will be 60. It doesn't go any lower. And maximum will be 110, because that is what it says here. So it's a helpful tool in getting the tempo just right without having to sort of drag it up and down. One thing though that we got with 1.10 update is ability to edit value precisely by right clicking on the node and going for edit value. So you can just edit value and hey, I wanted 91, and there it is. So boom, super useful. Before exporting the song, there's one concept and a question that I want to address. As an Ableton Live certified trainer, one thing that I get asked for a good reason pretty often is how long should my clips be? And I will address this question, how long should my song sections be, rather? If we take a look at my song and how I recorded it, there are things that last for say 16 bars and then they're gone. Things come in after 16 bars and so on. One thing that's not a rule, but it's super massively common in electronic music is sections that usually last 16 bars. If you see up here, you see the bar count. And you can also set the grid to reflect a certain amount of bars. Like if I go here, I make the grid more wide. Now I'm selecting 16 bars. Now I'm exactly selecting 16 bars. So one thing in electronic music is sections and ideas and things like that usually happen in 16 bar intervals. If you have never listened to electronic music with this in mind, do listen to electronic music and pay attention how 16 bars is often the section length. What do I mean by this? For example, I'm making an exception in my song here, because if we see here, my song starts and my bass line comes in after 8 bars. So I know this is an exception to that rule. If I was working on a dance music or electronic music that would be for DJs, I would probably make the bass line start after 16 bars, so it's not really confusing as to when things happen. And you know, there's millions of songs out there that you can listen. If you go and check out any of my music, probably 99% of it does follow this 16 bar section theme. And for example, here it would be the beat plays for 16 bars, and then the next section begins and a new theme comes in and a bass line comes in, and maybe in the next 16 bars something could just go away and stuff. And here, after 32 bars, another drum loop comes in, another break comes in. So 16 bar sections is something that's massively dominating in electronic music, at least. So do make a note of that, because if you're making music that sort of wants to follow a certain rule or a pattern or a habit, you know what I'm getting at, 16 bar sections are kind of important. For example, if you're making music that DJs want to play, DJs do want to have music that sort of follow this certain formula that it's easier to mix. For example, I'm saying if you made a song where the bass line comes in at some, I don't know, maybe like after 13 bars or 14 bars, that will be trouble for a DJ because he's not expecting the bass line to come in there. With that, I'm kind of addressing the question of how long my clips should be, because if you have a looping clip, the clip itself can be kind of short and be looping that part. But as for myself, I may do clips that are 16 bars long, but the one thing that I do follow is the 16 bar section length. And when recording a song from a session to arrangement, even if I don't have clips that are 16 bars long, for example, I have this drum clip that's only 8 bars long, but I did let it play twice before moving on to the next section. So I was playing this scene for 16 bars and then I moved on to the next one. And in terms of knowing how long your clip has been playing in terms of its length, see this icon here. I'll solo the track and I'll soon play the clip. This pie chart here is telling me how far the clip is progressing in terms of its length. This number here is how many times the clip has played. When it starts playing, it's number 1. When it's played once, it'll show 2. And this is the number of beats, like how many beats it is. So in this time signature 4x4, 1 bar is 4 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4. And because it's an 8 bar clip, as we can see, it's 4 beats per bar. So 8 times 4 is 32. But let's look. Let's literally just take a look at this when I play the clip. So you saw number 2, because it's now playing for the second time, 32 beats, and this pie chart corresponds with this, how far in the clip it's proceeding. So this is very useful info in terms of moving on to the next scene. And this is the reason why I sometimes do clips that are 16 bars instead of 8, because it's easy to see when the pie chart round is up. I know that 16 bars has gone and it's time to move on. So for example, here I could just hit duplicate loop and it would be 16 bars exactly. So make use of this, and you could totally do all these clip movements using follow actions if you wanted to. For example, I could give this clip information relating to follow actions so that I would tell this clip to play the clip for 16 bars and then move to the next clip. So it would do it automatically, and it would do it regardless of the length. Even if the clip was just 1 bar or how many bars ever, it would play the clip and then play the next clip after 16 bars. So that way, and you could follow the 16 bar pattern. So if this is new to you, take any electronic music, for example house or drum and bass, and just count the bars when you're listening to how the song proceeds, and the chances are that 16 bar section methodology will be at work in those songs. Okay, I think I'm finally ready to bounce out my song. What's first? I need to bring my focus back to arrangement, so everything is now here. A quick thought about my song. It's not a very long song. It's definitely not trying to be a very musically amazing song. And as you know, this is not a songwriting course. I just wanted to provide you with the understanding of the basic concepts and wanted to teach you how to use this tool. So now you should know how to craft your own song sections and understand a little bit about song sections and how the song could progress. But all that is up to you. How you want to make your music, that is up to you. Don't take very many things that I do as a rule, but it's good to understand some of the basics, and then you can just do whatever. My song is quite short. It's a little less than 2 minutes. Let's say that this could be for a car commercial or whatever. One thing that I could think of is how my song ends, because now the song ending is kind of just ends like this. You know what? That actually works because there's a bit of tail, so I won't do anything to that. I'm fine with that. So now I want to export the song. You select the time range you want to bounce, and we'll go from here. Shift Command R or File, Export Audio Video. Now there's a few things. Let's see the most important stuff. Render track master. So this will bounce out one song file. So it'll be a WAV file, or you can also get an MP3 if you want to. And this now displays the length that I've selected. Return and master effects is off now. I'll soon explain these things or other options here. Everything here is explained in the manual, but I will just explain the things that are most important in terms of just getting a song out quickly. Sample rate, this is pretty much the standard. I will not go into a deeper audio engineering type of analysis of this, but this should be good for you if you go for 44-100. That is the sample rate that all the digitally released music is in. And if you want to make it mono, that can be done here. PCM will give you this file type, WAV, AIFF, or FLAC, so that's up to you. Bit depth, same here. I will not go into very deep analysis of this. If it's going for, let's say, mastering, you can go for 24. If not, if it's just for your own use, or if it's going directly for a distributor, for example, like if you're releasing it, they will only accept 16 bits. You can find way more info on this. Just look it up. And yeah, MP3 if you want it, SoundCloud, directly to SoundCloud if you want. Video part, that is something that I did skip in this video. If I hit export, I will get the whole song as a master file. But there's a few things here. All individual tracks. If I select this, all the tracks that my song has will be exported. So if you're sending audio to your friend for a collaboration or remixing, that could work. Select the tracks only. That way you would select individual tracks that you want to bounce. So just a few tracks that you want. And here, any particular track you could. If I go for all individual tracks, 10.1 update gives us this option. Include return and master effects. This means that now when for every individual track, the track would go through any possible processing that you have on your master track. If you don't want that, when bouncing out individual tracks, just leave it off. But for me as a mixing engineer, sometimes my clients want the tracks as processed as possible, and then of course when they like the sound of the song that I make for them, they will like the master processing, of course, because that's an important part of the sound that they're hearing, the sound of the final result. So then I will use this, and this comes with 10.1 update. Without further ado, let me just bounce out my song. Master, export, here we go. I will just bounce it on my desktop, and here it is. It'll chew on it for a little while and then we're done. I'll just fast forward. So now I'll use Finder to locate the file, and here is my new song. And I will check it out in an external audio editor. So this is not Ableton Live. This is my external audio editor, and this is my song. Tempo automation is working. It's getting faster. Yeah, there it is. By the way, if I wanted to do a little fade out for the master, I could do it here. So let's do that as the very last thing. I will add a utility plugin as the very last thing on the master, and I will do a little fade out, automation, and utility gain. And because the musical content ends here, I could do just a fade out just like this. With 10.1 I could get one of those preset shapes. So now the bounced song would have a fade. So that's about it. I hope this video course was useful to you. And if you bought the package where you're getting personal tuition, just get in touch. I would love to hear any comments about this video. And I will start filming an advanced video course right after this one, so be on the lookout for that. Thanks for purchasing my video. Thank you.